What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about a hair loss story. We're going to be talking about an individual just like you or I that has lost their hair, a person that has tried many different solutions to their hair loss, only to have a long winding journey wind up in them getting their new hair. So this is a fun story. I found it online. We're gonna read it together. I'll be kind of reacting through it, but I want to share this with you, and also just share this story. I think it's really, really cool, and I always love this type of content. But real quick, this video is sponsored by Live Vivid Hair. So if you want to check out getting a hair system with a discount, you can use my code down below. But let's just jump into the story, shall we? Okay, so this right here, I'm actually going to try to protect this guy's name because later in the article, it seems like, he's not fully out with his hair system, and I don't want to preemptively make him feel like he's more exposed than he already is. But he has posted this on Reddit. He gave out his Instagram, but said he's not, talking about hair systems on there. So just going to be a little bit careful. If you see some things blurred out, that's why. So this story says, my experience so far wearing a hair system as basically a 25-year-old guy. So he says, genetic hair loss runs very strongly in the paternal side of my family. Grandfather had it, dad has it, two uncles have it. So basically this guy saw that it was coming for him, it was coming for him hard. He says, at that time, I didn't think a whole lot about it, let alone know what to do. I was a teenager focused on school and video games, amongst other things. And that's a really funny thing that happens because I myself knew that hair loss was coming for me, kind of my dad had hair loss, my mom had a ton of hair loss, and I didn't really, I just kind of ignored it, and they never really talked to me about having options or anything like that. That sounds silly, but I didn't really think about Rogaine or any other medication. I didn't realize it was really an option for me. I just felt like it was happening to me when it was, and I put it in the back of my head. I didn't even really try to fight it, it's just crazy to think about. This guy says, in my later teens though, hair loss progressed so much that it really negatively affected my confidence. I'm not talking about some recession, I mean complete thinning and disappearance of all the hair across all my head. I played sports, baseball and golf, worked out, was active and successful in different things, but I felt that my appearance was inferior because it is very rare for guys to be completely bald at such a young age. Dude, I know exactly how that feels. Usually it happens slowly over the decades, but I have the gene very aggressively. I would wear hats everywhere just to feel like I fit better with my age group. Sure, I'm lucky and grateful to have a good life otherwise with great family and friends, but losing all your hair at a young age is beyond rough on your self-image and confidence. If I wanted a certain look, I couldn't do it. I looked much older than I actually was, and I hated it. Here's a progression of my hair loss. So he gives us a couple pictures inside of this article. I'll share this because he's hiding his identity, and he shows his age of hair. He has incredibly thick hair here. And look at 16, we can already see it happening. And at 17, it really took a turn. You see this definitely having a lot of diffuse thinning as well as just a classical Norwood pattern forming. And, by really 21, we see almost all the hair in the front of his head is gone. It's just incredibly fast, and I'm sorry for him, but I know that experience. He says, for a little while I was worried that maybe taking Accutane for acne caused it, but no, with more research and understanding, clearly just runs strongly in my family. I have hair follicles, highly sensitive DHT, and high levels of DHT, perfect formula for hair loss. Yep, that's the thing. He says, by my early 20s in college, I started seeking out strategies to do something about it since it bothered me so much. I researched the science behind it, tried minoxidil, which didn't work for him, which this is another thing that we don't really talk about all the time, but minoxidil doesn't always work. I think it's either 33 or 50% of the time it works, and finasteride is one of the other two. But anyways, it doesn't always work. You can't even always depending on minoxidil and or finasteride to have it be a solution for you. So this guy didn't have results from that. He said he didn't even bother with finasteride because he was already in Norwood 5, and finasteride was unlikely to grow a satisfactory amount of hair for him. Adding the potential side effects, wasn't interested at all. So then I looked into hair transplants, had consultations with the best in the US, and they told me I should not have one because my hair loss is so significant in advance that the transplant would look bad and would be a lot of wasted money. He said he even looked into hair cloning, stem cell therapy, but as we know, it's on the market yet. It remains to be seen how effective and how much it will cost. So this is the interesting part of the story, though. He said my dad had spoken to me about hair systems because he also lost his hair in his early 20s and started wearing hair systems and has done so for 30 years. He says, I didn't even have a clue until my late teens. That's how good they always looked on him. That's so cool. So I talked to him more and more about it and decided I would consider it, since I was at a point where I'd already tried accepting being bald but wasn't happy with it. I was tired of buzzing my head every day only to have a dark horseshoe pattern around my head that was unappealing. So he goes on to basically talk about what hair systems are, how he gets his measurements, things like that. And then, his method, it sounds like, is he goes to Hair Club, and, Hair Club does offer packages and plans for those that want to get on, their hair systems, their packages, their salon visits, all that kind of stuff. But he basically says if you bring all the stuff to them, Hair Club will work with you. They'll apply the services. And, Hair Club has been doing this for a long time. If you get the right stylist at Hair Club, they have a lot of expertise and they know what they're doing and they're very professional about it. So going to Hair Club can be a good choice for people that are kind of experts when it comes to like a lot of things when it comes to hair loss, and including hair systems. They've been doing it for a very, very long time, and they still are doing it. So anyways, that's what he does. It says like he goes to Hair Club, but he basically just brings his own stuff to them and they work with it and charge with the salon visit to basically install it. He says that he basically goes every couple weeks to have it removed and reapplied, and in between those visits he does everything. He's like, I swim, I shower, I do everything in my normal life without any worry it'll come off. And he's like, my dad's been doing it for 30 years, went on vacations with them, and he never had an issue. And now he feels a lot happier that he fits in better, he doesn't look sick or unappealing. And he goes on to say like the costs of it, some of the different facts that go into having a hair system, all that kind of fun stuff. Overall, it's pretty cool to see this experience and for him to keep this online for all of us to see, which I just think is awesome. And he talks a little bit about how he handles it. He's like, I only told certain people it's a hair system, family, a few close friends, some acquaintances. But he's like, the people don't really care. He's like, I'm an introvert. I spend a ton of time alone. So it's been working well for him and everybody's supportive. But here's like the really interesting thing. He's like, he started fixing a lot of his personal image problems that he had. He's like, I got into good physical shape. I wanted to do Invisalign to straighten my teeth. And here's an interesting thing. This was part of a whole image transformation for him. He's like, I got into good physical shape. I wanted to do Invisalign to straighten my teeth. He's like, the one thing I had was hair loss and I didn't know how to solve it. And he's like, I think I've done that now. It's not a perfect solution, but it's the best that he can do. And he's like, I look in the mirror and I'm happy with the way my face is framed, and he doesn't care about the stigma. He's like, these aren't 1930 toupees. It's 2021. There's awesome technology out there, and then women can pull off all kinds of fake things to look better. There's nothing wrong with young guys doing this and just looking for the better of it. And he shares also a picture. Now I'm gonna blur out his face right here just because it sounds like he kind of wants to be anonymous, but the dude's in like killer shape, looks great. His hair system looks good, looks really, really good, looks happy, just looks awesome. And this was his hair loss before, like extremely extensive. Like there's very little hair. I mean, this is diffuse and miniaturization of the hair that is here, besides this horseshoe pattern. So like there's a lot of hair loss that's happened, and just like he looks so much better now. And I'm happy for him. These comments are really, really funny. Are you a woman? Just shave it down. Holding onto your hair wearing a wig is extremely emasculating and insecure. It's BS. I would rather die than wear a wig. It's so dumb. This is a really interesting post right here. It says, I dated a woman with serious alopecia areata and she wore a wig. He's like, I thought it looked so good and was honestly even slightly jealous. If she wanted to try a new hairstyle, she could just go for it. He's like, I've had the same hairstyle my whole life, and while I'm very grateful for the hair that I have and I get to keep it, he's like, I always thought it was a cool perk. And he was like, I thought it was amazing how these hair pieces look today. I'd never noticed had she not pointed out, and I'm sure it's the same in your case. And I love this right here. He's like, if someone ever did find out and give you a hard time for it, it's not a person worth acknowledging anyway. It's like, I think you look great and you look happy and confident, which I agree with. If having a hair system makes you happy and confident with how you yourself look and want to look, I think it's awesome. And although it's expensive, it's money well spent. And I love these comments. It says, thank you for posting this. You seem like a good dude. I think you've inspired me to try this. I love like when people share their story, and you know, I'd love for you to share your story here on this this page if you're someone that has dealt with hair loss and whatever choice you made, whether it's being bald, hair transplants, anything else. I would love for you to come on this channel and talk with me about this, because you liberate other people so much when you share their stories. And you know, I want to help like liberate men as best as I can, and the best way that we can is by like you coming on the channel and sharing your story. I can only do so much talking about it myself. You know, my lifestyle is only a certain lifestyle that's going to speak to certain types of men. There's men that are older, that are younger, that are active, inactive, that live in all sorts of parts of the world, that want to hear from someone like you. So, you know, if you do want to share your story here on this channel, I will always say yes to you. Don't be afraid to contact me, whether it's down in the comments or via email. I'll respond to make sure that we set up a time to do an interview. But super cool story. This guy's killing it, and I'm happy for him that he's doing so well and he feels better about himself. So anyways, thanks to Livid for sponsoring this video. Just another cool story of success with the hair system. Take care.